Good morning, everybody. It's Marty, the JavaScript party. Rhett is out in the living room. Let's see, CDS. I think I should always start these like in the future when I architect out these applications, at least from a folder perspective. I think I should start everything with UI dash, and then I can get into the habit of PM start in the habit of knowing always going CD space U and then tab. That would be nice. Let's see. Here we go. Let's see. We'll pull this guy in. So if I remember correctly, we're trying to make the max configured swappable view work. And let's see. Let me control plus this a little bigger. So what do we have? Okay, so I think I don't like this name. That's right. Publish visualization dimensions sounds like something that would only publish visualization dimensions, but I guess it would make sense. I was actually thinking about this last night to have a get visualization dimensions, right? If we're going to publish them, we need to get them. So I guess it is reasonable to get them from here. And then when we get the dimensions, part of what will make the difference is what the current um, view is, right? So so I guess there's like three things going on here. One is we need to figure out how to get the information that we need, and then two is we need to figure out how to get, or we need to respond to whenever it changes, and three, here we go, we need to um, update the screen based on what the user chose. So that's like kind of the three things that are going on here. So let me add this visualization, come in here, update. So this is for this specific situation, right? I click this button. Now I want it to be configured. The configured view, which is like 250 by 250 as zero and top of zero, left of zero. And then I click this and I want it to come back to this view. So that's what we're trying to get to. Now it would be really fun at that in the process to like do an animation or something like so that it kind of grows into place or something like that. But like that's something that I think is fairly easy to shoehorn in later. Um, but at this point, it's probably easier to just build it out, get it to work, um, and then update like sort of style or slide or create a solution if we do decide to try to do an animation after the all the architecture has sort of settled out, as opposed to it being, because I don't think it's an architectural desire, right? Like it's not like if we couldn't get it, we couldn't get it. If we can't get it, that'll be nice. So it's up to it to, since it's a that'll be nice thing, it's up to it to figure out where it fits in, not up to the architecture to figure out how to make it. Because I just don't think it's a foundational piece of this application. Um, okay, so this is for min-max mode. All right, so really what we want is four things, right? It says dimensions. I think you could sort of make an argument that position is also part of dimensions, but really we need the left. Right now, a dimension has four things. It has a left, a right, um, an up, or a down. And at this point, like the argument could be made that this is an interface that's only specific. This we need an interface, and it's an interface that only needs to be specific for this layout service. But that I know that's not going to be the case because like the templates and stuff like that will need to understand the interface as well. Um, but for now, I'm going to create an interface. I can't even remember. The problem is I work in C sharp, and like the way you do it in C sharp versus the way you do it in TypeScript are very, very similar but slightly different. But the way you do interfaces is very different. So how do you do this? You go, I think it's interface. I think you would usually will have an export, but we don't really want that, and it doesn't interface, and then maybe not. I don't know. I can never remember how to do this stuff. I know I have it, so let's go look. Interface, but it's good to try to remember. Dictionary. I think triple is probably a really good example. Okay, export interface. Okay, so I was very close. So we definitely want the little interface, and then the name of it, which is going to be update dimensions. And the thing I like about this name, update, is that it makes it very clear that this is only for update. And then we've been using edit um, as a synonym. So we're kind of going back and forth. Public, um, maybe I'll change it to edit. Edit dimension. I don't think there's really a practical difference between update and edit. We know that it's going to have a width, and that's a number. We know that it's going to have a height, and that's a number. And we know it's going to have a top, and that's a number. And we're so early in this this cycle here that it is very possible that we don't even need this. That happens all the time. And actually, I do like it's very TypeScript is super flexible on this part. You don't have to have anything, I don't think, or you can have commas or you can have semicolons. I typically like to go with um, these are plural. Edit dimensions. Okay, so we're going to create a function called get dimensions. I have no idea how we're getting these dimensions, just to be clear. So right now, like, I just kind of know the direction I want to go in. I don't know exactly what everything I'm going to do. So it's like if I had to drive to work, I really need to know all. I need to know all the streets and everything to turn on. But if I want to go down the road and find a gas station, I know that there's some in that direction. I could just kind of go and I'll just run across run. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm kind of just going in a direction and I'm hoping that everything just sort of works itself out. Sometimes that's how you code. Sometimes you code when you know everything you need to do. Um, so so I'm going to call this get edit dimensions. So the word edit is clearly starting to win over. I don't think it's going to accept anything, and it's going to return an edit dimension. And then I'm just going to const create dimensions. And then here's another time where like I can never know if edit dimensions I think that's fine. Edit dimensions. Always has such a hard time. All right. Well, I don't remember what I was going to say, but I will say that um, it is for me. It's very helpful to call it a const, and it gives me sort of a chance to think out loud to myself or think internally, my internal dialogue of, hey, the object is not going to change. The attributes within the object are going to change, but the object aren't going to change. Objects aren't going to change, so that's why making a constant makes sense. And then we know that it has a width height. It's this stuff right here. So um, is equal to 0. I'm just going to initialize it to 0. These have to be commas in here. And I think maybe that's another sort of one of my sort of things that I always try to work on is um, setting the code up so that when I'm in like deep debug maintenance mode type thing, where I'm trying to come up to speed, that I know that I need as little cognitive um, awareness and currency, I guess, cognitive currency uh, as possible to that will allow me to understand where I'm at and what my context is. Um, so the fact that I named this edit is kind of redundant because this is called edit. I'm inside. This returns an edit. This is get edit. So do I really need to add edit? Maybe if this function gets big enough, I might be 14, 15 lines down trying to figure out what dimensions I'm updating. Um, Edit is kind of a bad one. So is update, though, in that it is also a verb. But this is, I'm using it as a noun here, or I'm using it as an adjective here, like it names a kind of dimensions. It names a noun. It adds further description to a noun. But anyway, so this, and then let's just say const. Edit dimensions is equal to get edit dimensions. And then I think we can just do this, move this down here. And for now, we don't have. Oh. Okay, so it gets passed in this viewer div. And I do like doing that because I like this to be as pure as possible. And pure means that it doesn't depend on any sort of it doesn't depend on, hang on 1 second, anything on the state of the actual application. And so now this is going to be, since I'm here, I'm just going to do this real quick. So instead of that, this is going to be the edit dimensions dot height. And edit dimensions dot width. And see, that was like kind of something I didn't really think of ahead of time, but is super obvious. Now, I mean, it's super obvious at that point in time, but it wasn't when I was edit dimensions dot width is equal to width. Edit dimensions dot height. And am I going to clean this up? Probably. Is that guaranteed? No. It may not make sense to clean this up. But right now it seems like it would be better just to, I don't know. It may, these are lets, so, boom, height. Okay, so this should still work now. Everything should still work. It'd be kind of nice to, this would be one of those times where it'd be kind of nice to, it's kind of wild that it didn't, oh, it says changes detected and rebuilding. Okay, so it's rebuilt. This is what we expected. Boom, add viz, edit, update. And then everything's still working. All right, that's all. We just want to make sure that things didn't get broken as we've sort of shoehorned in this into here. Anyways, I gotta go. Happy coding, everybody. Have a wonderful day. It is what? August 11th. 19 days left in the month. Have a wonderful day. Happy coding. Bye.